like same thing. Like cool. Let's just say Tab Worship and Ruach. They would never do an album together. They would never do an album together. They would never.
They would need to.
No, it's not necessarily. It's not necessarily that. It's not necessarily that they need to, but it's just like if they won't sing each other's. They won't even sing each other's music.
The thing is,
that's where the problem is.
I think this is what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm basically trying.
When Rain first came out, when Rain first came out, I think this is what you're trying to say. There was artists around with Noel who should have pushed that song to further than what it is, but they didn't do that.
But
so what I'm trying to say is, why is there not a togetherness in that generation that trickles down to us, and then it trickles down to him?
Because I tell you what, right? If one church writes a hit, and that hit, right, the person who wrote it or some people that's played on it ain't cool with some people from that church or another church, they ain't singing that song. They're not singing it because there's so much beef in this community. And I've, even as a younger, seen it and go, you man don't like each other. I can just see it. Until I actually ask questions like people like you, Uncle Noel, and my dad, and I go, Dad, how come and he's like, what AM and them man be like that from before you was born, boy. I'm like, so what? They're not cool. Like,
no, you know what? I think what Matthew is saying is right, but I think the problem is bigger than that because, and I say this because this right in the US. Now I've got some friends who work in that business, in the the US gospel side of things, and I hear some stories that if I told them, a lot of you would probably be very shocked at in terms of who does get on and who doesn't get on, and the stuff behind the scenes there. But
I can imagine.
But, I mean, I've heard. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them hurt my heart because some of them are my favorites. But that is what it is. But totally. but the reality is, regardless of whether or not they get on, there's systems in place where they have to come together. Now, for example, they have every year, whether you like, whether Kirk and Fred get on or not, they're gonna see.
We bind the telly right spirit.
Get out.
Come out of here. We don't want it.
He was just about to.
We don't want it. Huh? I might go. Yeah, you're back. Sorry, we were just casting out the.
Did you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, we can now. We can now.
It's a cliffhanger, bruv. He tried to take control.
What was the last thing you heard me say? Because it was still going on my side.
Oh, really?
They have something in place. They have it in.
What I was saying is there's systems, organizations, and structures in place where these guys have to come together for the betterment of the industry, whether they like each other or not. And I think what's missing here is that. And so we cannot get on. We cannot get on, and that's fine. You don't have to like me, but at the end of the day, if you're interested in this business, you have to be a part of this structure. Then if that structure's not there, that's what's going to hold us back. And I'll give you some examples. Like, I know you know about this because I don't know if you're still with Integrity, but Integrity and a lot of these other major labels, they have things like they have writing camps where they'll bring a bunch of writers, and they will spend weeks writing songs. You might, and my wife is a songwriter. She works in pop music and in Christian music. Sometimes she's writing songs with people she doesn't like. She's not always fans of these. They're not always best friends. Sometimes she's sitting in rooms full of Trump supporters that she works with because she's working to push the betterment of the particular goal industry that that they're working on. And sometimes let's be honest, sometimes the check is a check, right? But either way, there's systems in place, right? That that she can be a part of. And so I think what's missing here is creating those systems. I've never heard of
it's the same thing. It's the same thing like the secular industry. I might get called to a gig and the musician and the TM I ain't really cool with, but it's just like, cool, we're working. But I have never seen over here that happen. It's kind of like you can tell who likes who and you can tell who doesn't like who and you can tell who's blocking who and who's trying to block who. And I'm just being real. Like I can see it.
Is that what's going on?
Of course, you can see it.
Well, of course, I think there's definitely there's something in place where it's
let's not even pretend
that's not a part of this particular group.
Oh yeah.
But to be fair, I think it's bigger than that. I think respect has gone out the window now.
Yeah.
And I don't think just because the system works in America, it will definitely work over here. I think our system was always, it was the network of support. So if Noel brought out a song and all the churches were singing it, what we should have done is someone else should have recorded it. That should have been our system.
Yeah.
Because I don't think just putting a group of writers in a, or even for example, like Noel writes a song and then another group sings it. That would be a better system over here than like 3 artists going in the studio together. That might not work, especially if they don't like each other. You're not going to create something that's going to be as authentic as you know, Noel sitting and having that moment, and then us carrying that moment to another generation. So I think that those are some of the solutions that we should be looking at. But I think one of the things that we're missing as well is that over here there's a lot of artists that have a claim to fame, which our generation, I know for myself, our generation, we're not interested in. We don't care about it. So after Raymond and Co, for me, that's it. I'm no disrespect to the new generation coming out, but all the newer guys that I've worked with, but unless Uncle Noel brought out Rain or Raymond came with that album, I can't really, or even Tab Church is probably the first album I've listened to from a UK artist in a long time and gone, this is actually wicked. And this is even being a part of Boney Morgan and New Ye, looking at a lost generation and everybody's just trying to figure out their way and no one knows what to do and no one's supporting each other. So now it has become this kind of battleground where music
my generation has done a lot of disservice to you guys, you know, because our denominational thinking and even personal thinking have really separated your generation, and the biggest thing for me, which I think that we were not good at, is because I don't say you're young, but we were not good at getting you guys to actually stir up yourselves and be creative yourself. We always expected you to be creative within our context and not be creative and then get behind you and celebrate you. So I look around at the gospel community now, and I struggle to find artists from the Black church, especially like the Caribbean church context, who I can say, well, that's an artist who's brought out more than 2 albums. I mean, Raymond and Co did 1 album really, right? And it was an album that every one of us joined in. I played on it. Lindsay, everybody was on it. Nikki, all of us were behind that album. We stood behind them guys in the recording because they didn't have the money to do it. Hey, so we just said, yeah, we're going to put our time and everything and make it all work. The issue around it is that we didn't teach you guys to actually begin to honor your own gifting and create your own sound, and that we go behind you and go, hey, let's push these guys. That's why we don't have any, you know, there's a Kurt, there's a Fred, there's all these different names that can take the same space. Because there's people behind them going, yeah. You know, I've had to make my way into a white marketplace, and I'm cool because I think that's where God wanted me to be. And I have to do songs, and I have to think about the music, because if I do the music a particular way, my song ain't selling. Trust me, I'm being real. I'm not getting some of those platforms. It's a bit like LCGC having to do Oh Happy Day every gig. You don't do a Happy Day and watch how you're going to get cool. So we're dealing with stereotypes. We're dealing with marketplaces. So, you know, a lot of the generation might think that I don't play guitar. Of course I can play. But I've had to strategically think about how my record sounds, dumb it down at times, dumb the mix down, all these kind of things. Why? Because I know that if I'm going to empower a generation, which I've done every year, I've paid for an artist album. Every year I've done that. Wow. Governor B was the first one. Wow. His first album was paid for by me. I'm just giving you that. I've invested in people, right? And I go, look, if we don't do that, then my generation, we've failed. That's how real I am.
Respect to you, man. Respect to you.
Definitely. I think Becky wanted to go.
Yeah, Becky, go, and then I'm gonna wrap up. But go on, Bex, go.
Okay, sorry. So no, I hear what you're saying, but I almost disagree a little bit when you were like, oh, the young ones didn't get bring in, because you put them in your band.
I did.
You start them in your band. You know, Basil, after a while, stuck some of the youngins in the band. Yeah. Fish, remember, I used to work for Fish way back when he did the first Fat album.
Yeah.
And he had a whole load of youngins on there them times. And then so I'm like, even though you're saying, you know, we didn't push you lot, you kind of did. And in a way, because they were doing that, when I hear Matty and I hear Jesse and Joey and all the man there, Izzy, how they've now listened to, I guess they had to listen to the old stuff because of their parents, almost. Now, their sound is phenomenal. I can't, when I hear these lot play, I'm like, this is bananas. So even though you may not have pushed them in the way that, you know, you may not have been plugging, or, you know, young musicians, new singers, when you really check it, the last 20 years, bar Raymond and Co, and then recently Boney and Tab, there's not really been much to push and plug. People have kind of come out with okay-ish songs.
But this is the thing, Bex, like, there has been a lot. There's been a lot that's come out. I think there's been a lot. Go on. Not good. The stuff that has come out is just not good. And I think, although Noel for me, sorry, it's Unc, sorry, let me not even go beyond my place. Unc for me has always been like, you know, if I've done something, he's always supported me. So I'm not talking in that context of as a musician or as someone who's done events, nothing like that. I'm talking about in the sense of respecting. When I see the older artists, the gospel artists in art that I used to watch as a child, when I see some of the statuses and I see some of the songs and some of the quotes that come out of their mouth now, I then question how you expect this new generation to have respect for anyone before them.
That's what I was going to say, Bex, obviously you said, obviously Becky said, you know, Uncle Noel put like the guys in his band and everything, and that is true. But I would personally, not that it really matters, but my generation, I felt like it's by the time it got to like me, it was just like forgotten about, like completely. And I get that. And I'm not even talking about Uncle Noel. Like I'm just talking about in general. It's got nothing to do with like one artist. I just think in the whole gospel thing, it was just like I literally had to prove myself in the secular world. To even
but that's always been the case, though.
Yeah, it's always been the case.
Not really though, not really.
I had to prove myself in the secular world.
But Dad's first tour with LCGC he was 14, and that's not secular.
And he had the opportunity to do that. I wasn't allowed to do that, so I had to go into the secular world, and I would do Light of the World and all them man there do the little thing hidden. And my dad was like going, "No, come and play in church, stop the foolishness." So you understand what I'm saying? We've all.
I know, but it doesn't make it right. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't make it right.
Sorry, Matty. What I was going to say for you lot, what you lot had, and I guess because I guess maybe me and Ayo and Smooth might be the generation before you lot's generation, because we're in our mid to late 30s. Is that our generation? I guess we all broke through that denominational thing and just started to create friendships. So if you knew Jim Bob down the road could play bass, and you were at your church, you need the bass, or you were just jamming at church after a choir rehearsal or something, you'd be like, Jim Bob, come down. So our generation, I guess your generation, had that friendship thing. So you had, for me, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, you guys have a little bit more freedom to be more musically creative. Because now you've got ears from...
This is the thing, right? We say that, right? And obviously we have stuck out of the whole denomination thing, like what I was saying, me and Izzy's from Newty, Jesse's from Newty, I'm from Kojic. We got together, we've toured together now and all the rest of it, which is great. But once we kind of get together and kind of do our thing, it kind of seems like when we do put it out, it's a bit kind of like, the older generation, it doesn't get support. Like I put on 2 events last year, Industry Drum Day and Industry Musicians Day. There were some older musicians that I did ask to come down, just to come down, right? And it wasn't even like they were doing anything, but I didn't get a reply. Some of them said, "Oh no, that's not really my thing. I don't really want to attend." All of that stuff, and it wasn't saying that they must. I'm not saying that nobody has to do anything. What I'm trying to say is that there has to be some sort of each one teach one mentality, and in order for us to elevate and learn from people's mistakes. Because it's like, if someone's made a mistake, it would be great to know the mistake that they made, just so that I don't make that mistake And I guess what I'm basically trying to get at is just the infrastructure of the community / industry right now. It just doesn't seem like there's any foundation, and I can't say that I can be a foundation because I just got it. So it's like the people before us. Yeah. Where has it gone? Like what?
Well, there's some new stuff that's happening. There's some new stuff that's happening. To be honest, there's some new things that happen. Whether it's going to be great or not, I have no idea. But there's some new stuff that's coming. That Ayo, you've been a part of the conversations, right? And I think that over the years, our marketplace, we've not been the best. I'm not talking about musicians supporting each other, because everything, I call it, there's an ecology that happens. The producers, the songwriters and the artists create the music, create the content, the public buy it, the money comes back into a cycle and we grow it. But we've not had that, because one of our biggest problems is that our community have not been the best at buying stuff. They're not great. They want free. And I know that they want free, they want to cut corners to get something. And I go, because of that, we don't have infrastructure. Everybody knows you have a product, you sell it, money comes back in, you create another product, you sell it, blah, blah, blah. But when you don't sell it, you don't do it. So I know artists that my age who did an album, they spent money on it, and they still got CDs. The album's like 8 years old, they still got CDs in boxes in their house because they're unable to get platforms. For example, platforms are a serious thing. I was making a comment that none of the Caribbean churches want to provide their platform and pay musicians. I told of him. But as an artist, I've only, in 25 years, only ever sang at the church twice.
Wow, really?
Twice. That you would say it's an official booking. That's an official booking. Yeah, I'm just using it as an example. It's not a problem. We're cool with it. Yeah. But I'm just giving you an example.
It's a problem.
But that's what I was talking about.
Go ahead. That doesn't mean I don't go to the church. I've been told
No, we know that.
I'm just giving you an example. Give you an example. And I don't really want the example out there to be a negative thing. It's not that.
No.
It's like this, that I'm a leading artist in the UK, but I've only ever sang at one of the leading black churches twice.
Yeah.
Right? Are you understanding? And all the other times I've sang, it's like I've been in the audience and it's like, no, Robinson's there, come and grab a mic, blah blah blah. Now I'm just saying that. Whereas other churches like KICC, every year I go KICC twice a year, and they're giving me honorariums that I'm like my mouth is hanging because they're going, you're one of the guys that we celebrate. So we're paying your honorarium that's on par with Donnie McClurkin coming.
It's value, isn't it? It's value. They value you, and I think
that's different. And I can tell you that's for a fact. What it is. Because the last time when I finished the concert, they called me around the back, and Pastor Matthew's wife said, "Pastor Matthew just wants to bless you." And when I saw the check, right, I broke down in tears. I could buy a car.
Value, man.
Are you understanding what I'm saying? It's value, what we put on each other, and how we develop that. So that's one of the reasons I say that there are a lot of things that at stake here. I do believe that you touched on it. If people don't sing the songs, we won't have a timeless song.
Definitely, brothers. Definitely. Let's go back to the first thing Noah said about denominational mindsets, that slavery thing. Going back to Ayo's question in terms of our structure, like in that economic mindset, like that's exactly what we're talking about. There's been such a breakdown. Let's stop talking about the white Christians for a minute. Let's stop talking about America. Let's talk strictly UK black gospel.
Thank you.
This is the issue, right? UK black gospel's mindset is not to build up anyone. It's almost to have your platform and run with it. So I completely understand the fact that LC have to sing "Oh Happy Day," but you guys can sing "Rain" as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's a choice to throw that in your set. I think sometimes it's the fear of us. Like New Ye could have covered "Rain" on the album. Do you know what I mean? Instead of doing a snippet on the Seth's album, we could have done the whole thing. It could have carried into another generation, and whoever comes next should do that. So it's about breaking that mental block and that mentality to say that, well, because he's done it, it's done. We just need to continue these songs on.
I hear you. I hear you, Jess. Go, Ryan.
I think there's definitely a mindset issue at play, and we know what the cultural issues are, right? But I think I want to bring it back again. I think to the idea of creating systems and putting systems in place, because the reality is, we're always going to have these issues of mindsets, beef, and that's as long as people are alive, those issues are going to exist. And so I think it's important to talk about those things, because I think it helps to shift people's thinking. But I think the more important thing is, and especially everyone in this room, I mean, all of you guys who are musicians in very prominent positions and have done so much, just in regards to your profile and working in both secular and gospel. So I think you're all in key positions to be able to actually help move some of these things forward. Because I'll give you an example. Like, okay, the culture in the UK is very different. Like in America, they have gospel radio stations that are big and people listen to. We don't have a lot of that over here. We have Premier, but we have Premier. But if I'm totally honest, and I say this with respect, right? I went to meet at Premier one time, Premier Gospel, a couple of years ago, and they were talking about what they're going to do and just some of the things they're working on, and they were, all the prominent, and no, you might have been there, I don't remember, but it was some years ago. After the meeting, there was a few folks hanging around, and everyone knows who those people were. I won't say their names. And I said, do any of you listen to Premier Gospel? And all of them said no. Every single one of them said no. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm honest, I don't listen to it either. But I was just like, we're all sitting here in a meeting about, moving this thing forward, but none of us even engage with this platform. Not one of us. And so anyway, I say that to say, I think, because we don't have like radio stations in certain platforms and industries that the white or the Americans might have, we have to create our own, right? And I think like MDs and musicians, I think you guys are actually just as powerful as a radio DJs in America, because you guys have the ability to get, well, I don't know, it depends on your rank. Well, that's another conversation. But for the most part, you're able to get songs in churches, right? And so, if there's a way that we can create sort of a network, of musicians that come together in a forum of some kind and say, hey, listen, we're going to push this song this month in all of our churches, or we're going to push that song. And these are specifically focused on songs in the UK, because how else, in my mind, how else are we going to get songs in the church? I mean, I just, and there could be other methods to do that. But and I'm not saying this is, the right way. That was just an example I thought of. But I think we have to create a system or a way that, okay, we come together as musicians, you guys come together as musicians to say, okay, how are we going to get these songs in our churches? And if we can all do it simultaneously on the same page, we could take a better song or whatever, and let's get this in our church. And that's how we're going to create an impact with our own songs of today. Because Rain is great, but Rain, I don't know how long ago Rain was released. There's so many songs, 10 years, so many songs have come out since then. So what are we going to, and we're all agreeing that there's, not all of them, but there's been some good songs that have come out. But the problem is there's no vehicle for those songs. Exactly. So, how do we create a vehicle for those records as musicians that have the ability to push these songs in front of people? So go ahead.
No, it's good. Go on, Alicia, and then I'll go. Go on.
Just quickly, would you say that there is a gospel industry?
No.
Yeah.
Right,
No.
That's number one. Number two, why is it we can't have something like People Get Ready now? Why is it we can't?
It's demands. I mean, it was on Channel 4. That's mainstream television. I think for the most part, I mean, you might get something on Inspiration.
You know what's really funny? In December, started working on exactly what you just said, called People Get Ready Again, with someone, and we're working on it right now. The concept of it, how it's going to come out, I don't know if it will be on national television or anything like that, but I personally do want to see something like that again, because I think it's needed. But I think that's even a slight departure. Is it smooth? It's smooth. Is that your? I think it's like the next step. Definitely what you're saying is like 100%. But I feel like there's some more like digging to be done.
Yeah, 100%.
Just in terms of.
Wait.
You guys have had the most experience, right? We did People Get Ready not knowing what we're going to do. Right? I'm looking this room, and you guys have been on stages, Stormzy, you've been traveling the world with whoever. Right, you guys have the most experience with production and all this kind of stuff. It would be the ideal time to do it, and it would act, to me personally, it would need to be run by you guys' minds. People of my age can't run that, because man, half of my guys are stuck in 1980, 1990. This is the reason why I keep writing new songs. I don't want to be stuck in 1995. I don't want to be a has-been. I want to.
Matty,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. Know.
You get my world because I look at all the guys around my age, right? I don't want to list any names, and I go, where are their products? Where are their albums? Where's their current stuff? Yeah. What's going? I just brought an album out last year with brand new songs that I've been cutting, and people have been receiving the songs, and I've gone, whoa, right? I'm still on the cutting edge, right? Whether I'm still on a cutting edge because basically I am, right? For me, because I'm bringing new things. If we're going to do anything, we're going to have to, and I'm saying this, when you did that BBC thing, right, Io?
Yeah.
If we're going to do a new thing, right, I know we have to honour the past, but I'm letting you know, do not let the past dictate, because we had barriers to our thinking.
Yeah.
Right? We had lots of different wars. You guys don't have that.
I hear that.
Right?
I hear you. Know.
I go, honor the past where it is.
Matty, you're coming next.
Create your history now.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Matt,
it's not.
go on,
I agree with you, but it's not going to happen because the best case scenario, Channel 4, BBC hits up Io and go, oh my God, mate, yeah, we'll love to put a show like People Get Ready together, and then it happens, and then all you're gonna hear is, it ain't meant to be done like that. The people's not going to come together and actually watch that and be happy for that, because the people that were.
I would.
Well, yeah, you would, but you wasn't.
I feel you, though. I hear you.
Yeah, we ain't the people that was there before. Do you know what I mean? The people that were there before and the people that actually put that show together, most of them would be like,
this is why I'm gonna give you another example. My dad, when I got my own voice, my dad could no longer dictate to me. You hear me? Right? If you're going to live in my shadow, guys, I'm talking to you guys as a big man. If you're going to live in my shadow on what I achieved and what I didn't achieve, right, you will never go anywhere. Right? I'm going, create your own template now. Look, I was on Songs of Praise on Sunday. I know you guys didn't watch it. I was on Songs of Praise last week, Sunday. I've been on Songs of Praise all this year. I've got a PPL check to show me that I've been on Songs of Praise. Hello, somebody. I've got a royalty check. When people sent me my money this month, I went, Lord God, then really the corona thing really reached them. All I'm saying to you is that I decided that I want to create my own history. That's why Noel Robinson is still there. Right? I'm hoping that when I stop doing this in 15 years, people ain't talking about the 80s. They're going to talk about the year that corona died.
I hear you, but you know what? 1 minute.
I think it's not that it's unfair for you to say that, but it's easy for you to say that because you've got a good mentality, but that's just one person from hundreds of other people your age group. But we can't just do this. We could do it, and trust me, I'm not trying to live in no one's shadow. Not yours, not my dad's, not my uncle's, no one's. I've tried. I'm creating my own thing, well away from you guys.
Exactly. So you're doing exactly what I'm saying.
No. But it's not just about me. This is the whole thing. It's not just about me, Jesse, Smooth. It's about everyone. If we actually did do that, I guarantee you it wouldn't be as successful as it should be, because all of the community is going to join together and watch that. There'll be some people against it.
I think, sorry, I don't mean to cut you, Matt. I just think, sorry guys, I need to step out in a minute. I agree.
You're going to be done in like 15 minutes anyway.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah. I agree that we have to create our own feed. That's all good. I agree we have to create our own legacy, but one of the things that I think has to be refounded is respect. And going back to the original topic of timeless songs, you have material that I think our generation, and this is what I was saying to the guys after that 15-hour conversation, we need to now look at reproducing
songs,
so that we can bridge the gap, because there's going to be another generation that come across that don't know Matty's dad. They don't know any of. They didn't come up.
No.
So that was one of the things I felt like was necessary in order to try and now begin bringing a new structure in. From that, a lot of people will then get to remember your song, but also they get to know the new artist.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all part and parcel. Yeah. That's great. That's wonderful.
You know what I mean? So that's what I think needs to happen. Unfortunately, when you're dead, people are going to still talk about you, good or bad. So I think, Matty, what Noel's saying is correct. We have to build our own thing, but at the same time, I just don't think in order to get a timeless record like Rain, you can just be like, tomorrow I'm going to start writing my own thing and that's it. I think we've got songs that should be in that category.
Exactly, that was my point.
I've been in loads of
category.
So we've got the song. Have we got the artist to sing them? Because this is the issue. When I look around,
we have that. Right, so let me take you out. So let me come in there real quick. Right?
Go on, Ayo.
I'm going to come in there real quick, right? Because I'm conscious of time. I think what's going to have to happen, we need to do this again and move the conversation on, right?
Yeah, cool. I'm happy with that.
In another one. But I did want to quickly, because I think we've just got to somewhere that is really kind of deep. And there's a whole new thing talking about artists, talking about who's there to take the baton, talking about, we've only spoken quite insularly about the UK black gospel scene, but there's been other stuff that's affected us singing our songs getting out there, our songs being blocked, not being sung by people outside of our communities, not being pushed by people outside the communities. There's all of that to still deal with before we can kind of move forward. I feel like what Jesse's saying is a great a great way forward. I wanted to come to Smooth real quickly before we go though. Smooth, you there, yeah? Right. I wanted to ask Smooth. Smooth just
you don't know how to use Smooth.
Yeah, I know. Smooth just locked me off. He was like, no.
Oh no, he's there. I think.
Smooth, you there? So what I wanted to ask Smooth, because Smooth is MD to the stars, but also in his church, right? Yeah. And Smooth is one of the people that we're talking about because he's active on both sides of the fence. And I wanted to ask him, what is the approach that is taken when you guys go to put a song list together on Sunday? How much pressure do you have from, say, Pastor Mike to be like, you know what, you're singing this, you're singing Oceans, because that's what's hot. How much scope do you have to be like, you know what, I woke up this morning and that tune that we used to sing was on my heart. Do you know what I mean? Because the MDs can't just do what they want, and you do have pressure from pastor. But then also, how much is your mentality about kind of, and it's not even about honouring. A good song is a good song, and to be honest, worship is worship. So they should all take us there. That's why I believe worship songs aren't really. I'm happy to sing "Shine Jesus Shine" now, because I don't think it's for the 80s. Because God is to be worshipped 30 years ago, and he's still to be worshipped now. Do you see what I mean? So I'm happy for all of that. So anyway, Smooth, what is your take on that? What's your experience in terms of like how you guys approach bringing songs into the church? Basically, what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the way we do it at Tabas, there's a few different approaches, because I think what's quite important, what I think personally, I think is very important, is that your worship team is not just young people or not just old people. It's just a mixture of both, because then you can get the beauty of if I turn around and say, okay, cool, why don't we sing the "Is to You I Give the Glory," or if I say let's sing if people will actually know it, because there's people of that in the of that age group in the group. Then if I turn Oceans, the younger probably more need to know it. Do you know what I mean? So there's diversity. And then if I want to take it right back and to roll back the curtains, we could do that too, because there's people of that age group in the worship team too. Yeah. I mean? So I think what's good about Tab is that we're not born yesterday. So the church was founded from the 50s. So there's that as well in the congregation. There's some of the mothers that are in the church, they're like great grandmothers. Do you know what I mean? So there's that age group in the church. So because of all that, the worship list is wide open. Do you know what I mean? And we can just divert. You know what I mean? I think it's important to that. And I think part of what I was saying with where the conversation was going before is that where things are different now is that I think that I tried to change the subject again, but the lack and the respect is not just people. I think there's a lack of respect in the house in general, in that people don't necessarily respect the older generations. Like they want to fob them off when they start talking, and because of that, they miss certain things. And I think that's part of the reason why certain things haven't been passed down. When some of the elders want to speak, we're so busy trying to be new and trying to be innovative that we don't listen And sometimes all we need to do is stop and listen to what they got to say, because they've got a lot of wisdom that they can pass on to us. Even what Noel was saying here, that's a lot of wisdom that he's willing to pass on to people below. So yeah, cool. So you may not necessarily agree with it right now, but it might resonate with you later. So it's important to, in all of our creativeness and all of our wanting to be this and wanting to make it and all the rest of it, that we take time to listen. Do you know what I mean? Because when we do that, we can hold on to certain nuggets, and like those are, I think, if I'm completely real, there's certain things this new generation miss because they think they can do everything, and they, you know what I mean. And I don't want to now sound like I'm one of the oldest moaning about the younger, so no. But I think it's important that we encourage that behavior. And because especially you said you're a parent now, and I too myself. So when my kids are growing up, there's certain things that I don't want them to not have. Like, it would be a great shame for me if my two children didn't know about harder bread for me, because I'm a Caribbean. What do you mean you don't know about harder bread? Do you understand what I'm saying? But as a musician, being a Caribbean musician, you should know about reggae music. Like, if we play one drop, you should know how to do the one drop. If we're going to do, do you know what I mean? You should know how to do calypso. Do you know what I mean? And as an African person, if you're a bass player, if you don't have to play high life, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So we should embrace our past and bring it into now. And I think that's so important to everything that's going on now. And I think if we do that, sorry to carry on, if we do that as well as mingle the new stuff, like, what I think is good is that if we use the power of social media. So even what people say about Rain being a time song, yes, that's a time song. And the way to do it is to put covers on YouTube, put covers on Instagram. And I think if Noel does just you and the guitar in a random line in a barn, because you got an acoustic guitar, you can go to a park and play Rain in the Park. And then if you put that, someone films it and it's to a decent standard, put it up. And because now that's where we're going. We're going into a social media age where if you're online, your online presence is everything. So that's how we've got to move with the time now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And utilize the tools that are around us. But let me stop now, because I know
it's cool. And I'm going to come. So that's one thing as well. That's why I think we need to do one more of these. Because we haven't spoken about the internet, you know. In this whole thing, we haven't spoken about the internet, which is a massive difference. Back in the day, to hear a song, Noel had to come to your church and sing it, and then someone had to carry it. That's right. Now you can watch it while it's happening, along with the comments.
I want to come to another meeting if you guys are doing it. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to go because I've got.
We're all gonna go now. We're all gonna go now.
And I'm gonna have to sing. See, Life Church in Bradford. You know that Life Church?
Yeah.
I'm doing something with them now, so I've got to put my white head on.
We're coming back. No, that's the next one. That's the next one about this white head and black head, because that's got a lot to do with it, mate.
Oh, bro.
Right, get your skinny jeans and your Chelsea's, bro.
Exactly.
Trying to let you know.
Just before we go, right, Smooth, I asked you a question that you did a good job of answering, but didn't give me a direct answer. How much pressure do you have to sing Our God is Greater and not sing You Are My Savior, or something that's got something from our community, or something that's like Bless Fred Hammond or whatever?
Can I just say something? Tab have their own songs. Hello, somebody.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. Thank you.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, no, I've got a whole album of stuff. There you go.
Exactly.
Gotta go.
Exactly. But so did Mark. And I go places and listen, Mark and Howard have written some of the songs that will never leave me. And one of my big disappointments is I go and see Mark and he's singing everything else but his song.
Every time he did Renewal, I cussed him and say, "Where's your song?" And he'd be like, but I feel like he'd do out on stage and not one of his songs. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go, guys. Bless you.
No doubt.
Bless you.
Okay.
Nice one. So Smooth.
As I'll jump out, talk soon, yeah?
Yeah,
know that.
Let's just finish it. Let's finish it.
It's true. It's true. We'll carry on in the next one because it doesn't make sense. Everyone ducking out. You know what I mean?
This is just the tip of the iceberg, though.
No, definitely. Like, there's a lot more stuff to talk about. A lot more stuff that's kind of juicy, to be honest. We're gonna have to get a lot more honest.
Can I just say, I know I haven't said much, but I'd like to be in the next one as well. Please.
No, everyone here is going to. Everyone here is going to be on there, definitely. So Smooth, I'll probably start off the next one asking you that question again, because it is actually a good segue into the next thing that we're going to be talking about. we'll talk about the internet. I think we'll talk about the white church versus the black church, how the white church views us, how we view them, over the years, the experiences. And that's why I think Noel is a good person to have in, because he's had experiences with both.
I've got one question, just one question. Is you and my savior, is that online? Has anyone got a recording of that?
I don't think so.
I've got a version. I've got the album, but it's not, bro. And Jesse, that's a big. See, this is the thing. When I was doing the proms, right? When I was doing the proms, bruv, I had to. You got to remember, I'm the youth, like Matty was saying, and I'm having to course up all these people that's double my age, bruv. I had to tell Noel, bruv, you're singing that song.
I don't care. I don't care whether I'm young or not. I don't actually care.
Exactly. I mean, I think like you, but just like you have to kind of keep a certain level of decorum and all the rest of it. But I had to literally tell him you're singing it, because what I didn't want is for him to come on there and only sing Rain, and then people's thinking that that's where he's coming from.
Because I didn't even know Donna wrote Rain. I didn't know Donna wrote Rain. I did to this day. Noel Robinson, that's a song.
This is the thing, Jesse. Now,
this is why I have to say something.
I hear you, Alicia.
You didn't know that Noel wrote Rain, bro?
No, Donna.
Donna
and his song.
Oh.
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
Let me say to you, right? If You Are My Savior did what it was supposed to do, Noel probably wouldn't have even written Rain. I put that one in there.
Wow.
Because this person that he's talking about that he had to depart from, it's because he was, I won't use the word embarrassed, but it wasn't getting him nowhere. It was dope. It was dope, but it never got nowhere. So he's like, I have to go and put on my blonde wig and put on my 11 gauge and Jangalanga in the barn, like Smooth said, and I got to write Rain and all this new stuff he's writing. But I put to you that never would have been, he would never would have written that.
Hear this. Yo, I told your dad when we were 16 that this whole UK gospel thing and this whole church thing, it doesn't even exist. It's all a facade. It's gonna get you nowhere. You're gonna keep on like trying to help a man. You're gonna do it, and then you're gonna get to the end of it and be like,
what did I do? Yeah.
What did I do?
I've been there twice already.
That's why we argued the point in the group chat. How can you then say it's tablet?
Yeah, no. So Matt,
is it a water bubble?
Nah, but I get where you're saying that. Go on, Alicia.
And why is there? And is there any proof that it's not a water bubble?
Yes. America is proof enough. I know we're not America. No, I know. But the fact that it exists somewhere else means it can exist here, because it's human beings over there. It's human beings over here. But I think we need to get real about some stuff over here first before it gets there. I think America is how it is because it's so segregated. We kid ourselves in England that we all walk hand in hand with the Asian man, the white man, the blue man, the green man, and we kid ourselves in London that because we all eat pork in Shoreditch, that we're all together. When we all done know that we just had Brexit, that was basically saying all of you screw off to where you're from. Basically. In America, that smoke screen ain't there. So black people had to make their own bread.
Yeah.
Which meant they've got commerce. That's my take on it. When we stop kidding ourselves that England is any different or any less racist and all that than everywhere else, then
come on,
I will have to sing your songs.
Right.
No way, they ain't singing my song.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? Because guess what? That's what Hillsong did to us.
Right.
They wouldn't sing our old song.
Yeah,
they're singing it now.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't do it.
Absolutely.
Matty, you won't know some of this probably because you're younger. But bro, they will not sing. I mean, church policy, bro.
Yeah.
Church policy. They will not sing anything that's not theirs. And then us like idiots go sing everything that's theirs and wonder why they're raking millions.
Exactly.
I'll put it in. I'll put it in.
I want to hear what. Go ahead. Because I was going to mention integrity but I want to go ahead. Yeah.
See, in integrity, it took them years.
We've got 5 minutes, by the way. Go on.
Sorry, them years to sign a black artist in the UK.
Yeah.
But wait, who are you talking about?
Integrity.
No, but I mean, which black artist are you talking about that they first?
Wasn't the first one?
No.
No. See, but see, I wish no one was here. Because Noel did say that for a while, but that wasn't true. Because Mark's project, Power Praise, was with integrity, and Isaiah's project was with integrity as well, and that was back 20 years ago.
Right.
And to the question I was going to ask about integrity was that what changed? Because listen, because Playing Games and Power Praise are one of the two biggest albums that we've been talking about in this conversation in terms of just, songs that actually made impact. And both of them were released by Integrity. So resources clearly have something to do with this. And we haven't discussed that. And that's why I kept talking about, that's why I kept mentioning structures and putting systems in place. Not that it has to be the same as everywhere else, but they have to exist.
Episode 2.
Yeah. And right, yeah. But the question is, why did Integrity stop working with Black artists? Why did it take them 20 years to sign No after Mark and Isaiah? Something went wrong. And something we got to talk about as well.
And this is why, Ryan, that's why I was about to start with that, with Integrity. I thought it was Noel first, but then we need these record companies to actually expand what we do.
Well, Alicia, so here's the thing. But then going back 20, 30 years when there was no internet, everybody's harping after integrity. Yeah. No one thought they could have a life unless it's integrity.
Yeah.
Who's the key holders, as Matty spoke about, of integrity?